I am building multiple streams of income because I never felt financially secure in the first half of my life. I grew up in poverty. My parent was on a fixed income. Her parent was on a fixed income. No one taught us about financial literacy. No one taught us about saving money. No one taught us about investing. None of that. I had to figure all of that stuff out on my own. The only thing I remember growing up was hearing, we can't afford that. Money doesn't grow on trees. Put that back. You don't have money for that. That's all I ever heard. And so when I became a young parent, a young mom who also was on a fixed income, that was my view of the world, that there wasn't enough to go around, that there wasn't enough money. And I just remember feeling very lost and confused and wondering, like, is this it? Is this life? Is this how life is? Like, this is my life. I'm never going to have enough money to buy the things that I want or to have the life that I want. There has to be more. I decided to go to college because in my mind I thought, well, if I go to school and I get a degree, I can get a good paying job and I could get benefits and then I can get off of welfare and I don't have to depend on that because I wasn't making enough money from that. I was receiving cash and food stamps, and there would be times where I had to sell food stamps to have money to pay my rent. And then I wouldn't have enough money for food, but that was my life. And during college, I would try to take on like part time jobs so that I had a little bit of cash in my pocket and I bartended a little bit. And I made really good money bartending, but I could have been saving that money or investing it. No one taught me. No one taught me any of that. I was living paycheck to paycheck, struggling. But when I decided to go to college, I felt a little bit better because I'm like, okay, I'm on my way to stability. I'm going to get a degree. I went all the way up to my master's degree. And I thought, I'm set. I'm going to get me a job and I'm going to have a good paycheck and I'm going to have great benefits and I'll be okay. And for a while, I was okay. I did, every couple years, I would apply to a new job to and get that salary increase. And then I was feeling really good about myself because I'm like, okay, I'm doing good. I would go through my finances, create a budget just so that I could see where my money was going because if you don't know where your money is going, you are going to live paycheck to paycheck. And that was something I was never taught, but later I learned to go through my paycheck, let me look at my spending habits to see what I'm spending money on. This way I could cut back. And then I also want to see, do I have enough money left over after I pay bills to put in a emergency fund? So I started doing that. I had money automatically taken out of my bank account and put into another bank account that was not connected to my other bank account. I had it automatically taken out so that I wouldn't even see it come out. And after a couple months, when I went to check, I saw I had a nice amount of money in there. And I would keep doing this. And every time I got a job and my salary increased, I would also increase the amount that I was saving. And that was helping me to feel a little bit more grounded and safe and secure. But then I realized one paycheck isn't really enough to make you feel secure, especially if you grew up in poverty, because you could be doing great one day and then the next day you don't have a job, or you decide you have to leave the job because it's so toxic and is messing with your mental health, and now you don't have a job and you don't have any income coming in. And that triggers that poverty mindset. And now you're back to worrying. And all you could think of is, oh my God, I don't have a paycheck. I don't know when I'm going to be able to get another paycheck. Am I going to be able to pay my rent this month? When am I going to get another job? Like, all these things start going through your head and you start worrying. And then it's hard for you to focus on what your next move is going to be. And I know this because that's exactly what happened to me when I left the police department. And I didn't know what I was going to do next, but I knew that I didn't want to stay there because it just became toxic and my mental health was really depleting at that time. And I started worrying, like, what do I do? What am I going to do? Where am I going to get the next job? How soon is it going to come in? But do I even want to go back into law enforcement? No, I didn't want to do that. I wasn't sure what I wanted to do. I had to take some time to think about that. I rested and I spent some time meditating to see if the answers would come to me. And then one day it did. And it was so simple. It was so simple. It was like, why aren't you cooking? You love cooking. You never get tired of cooking. You're always in the kitchen. Cook. And I was like, okay, I guess I'm going to do that. I don't know how I'm going to start. I don't think anyone's going to hire me in a restaurant because I don't have any formal training, but I'm going to go for it and see what happens. And I did. And I started applying to jobs, any job, personal chef job, restaurant jobs, whatever I found out there. I just started applying to stuff. And then I was able to get a job as a personal chef in New York City. And I wasn't even living in New York City, I was living in Philly. But I didn't care because I said to myself, the first opportunity I get, I'm just going to make a name for myself and I'm going to run with it and let's see what happens. And it turned around pretty quickly. I would say like within 3 weeks, I was back on track, making money, making great money, and having so much fun. But again, I was only relying on one paycheck, and one paycheck is just not enough to make you feel secure, even when you're doing something that you really love, because at any moment it could slow down. And that's what happened to me when the winter months came. Work started slowing down. I wasn't getting as many jobs, especially when this big snowstorm hit and people were stuck. I was stuck and I'm like, "Oh my god, I cannot get to my clients now. If I don't work, I don't get paid." And things started spiraling downward and that wasn't good. I had to figure out how I was going to bring in multiple streams of income. And after a while, I gave up and I just stopped working and I went into a whole other industry. And again, I was relying on one paycheck. So I realized that you have to create multiple streams of income if you want to feel financially secure. Because at any moment, one of those could drop. But if they do, at least you have a couple other ones that are working for you and you have that security. It also gives you a sense of freedom because if, say, one thing isn't working, no matter how many changes or updates you try to make, you at least have these other incomes working for you and then you can try something new. But having those multiple streams of income is the way to go to make you feel safe and secure. There is something about having freedom, being able to get up when you want, work when you want, work out when you want, take off when you need to without having to ask for permission. That's freedom. And that's what multiple streams of income gives you. Now, a lot of people will say they're building multiple streams of income to be rich. Well, it depends on how you view being rich. For me, being rich is being able to create your own schedule. Being rich is going on vacation without having to ask anyone for permission to do that. Being rich is like waking up when you feel like waking up. That to me is rich. And as long as I have a constant stream of income coming in, I don't ask for much. I don't need much. I just need that income to keep coming in so that I have that sense of security. Because I don't think no matter what your upbringing is, if you don't have that money coming in, you're just not going to feel secure. And that is something that's really important to me, is feeling secure. I've been homeless a number of times in my life. And every time I was so disappointed in myself. Like, how did I end up here? Why am I making bad decisions? I did things that I thought were the right thing to do, get a 9 to 5 job. But really, I wasn't doing what I should be doing, which is creating these multiple streams of income, finding ways to solve problems for people. That is what I'm good at. And I was working other jobs and doing it for other people, but now I want to do this for myself. I can still help people solve problems, but on my terms. I want to be able to create something that solves people's problems and provides value. And income doesn't have to come from something complicated. There's people out here that have a YouTube channel and they're just talking about their life and experiences, and that's it. There's other people that have those ASMR videos. I love those ASMR videos. Those are great for people who need to regulate their nervous system. That's the service that they're providing. That is how they're solving problems, and that's the value that they bring. And it's super easy to do that. Zero cost. Just go around tapping things in your home. Building multiple streams of income is not complicated. You already have the skills. You just have to figure out which skill you're going to use and monetize off of. I'm starting this journey and I'm going to build it in public, full transparency. I don't have all the answers, but I'm going to get creative with it and I'll show you how I do it. I'm not going to pretend that I have all the answers. I don't, but one thing about me is that I will figure it out. I'm probably going to make a lot of mistakes. I'm going to try things that might not work. I'm going to find things that do work. And I'm going to share all of it with you. And if you're watching this and you're in that place where you're thinking, okay, I understand what you're saying, but I don't even know what I would do. That's exactly why I created my reinvention starter guide. You don't have to have everything figured out. The guide is designed to help you start thinking about what's next. I have reflection questions in there that will help guide you to look at your experiences, your interests, the things you've always wanted to do, and the things you may not have realized could actually become income. I'm figuring this out too. I'm building multiple streams of income because I want the financial security that I didn't have in the first half of my life. And if you want to see what happens when I actually start building them, follow me and watch the journey. All right, guys, I will check you out at my next video.